Dueling Dialogues is brought to you by our affiliates at hostpapa.com. Click the banner on the rightleftchronicles.com for premium unlimited web hosting with the highest rated reviews at the lowest prices. Coming to you from that once-forgotten artery that pulses through the center of the continental United States and into the heart of the Ozarks, Grace Matthews. Looking in from the northern border, our Canadian friend, along with his countrymen feeling the effects of U.S. political issues, Connor Murphy.
Welcome to Dueling Dialogues, episode 127. I'm Connor Murphy, here with Grace Matthews. Hi, Grace. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I wasn't sure you'd be here today.
Why?
Well, you had Happy Cannabis Day. I mean, I figured all of Canada would take the rest of the week off.
Yeah, we'd just be sitting in the pizza parlor eating pizza, right?
Yeah, all stoned and everything.
Nah, things are pretty normal over the border.
Oh, well, we've been screaming that you guys better not bring that weed over here.
Oh, yeah. I think give it a few years, it'll be legal everywhere, but who knows?
Absolutely. Oh, it will be. It will. We just can't stand it. We got to go through the drama to get there.
Yeah, pretty much. And it has created lots of drama. Still a lot of anti-pot activists out there that are making fools of themselves. So, yeah, I don't know how it's really legalization, because before, when we were in Prohibition, there was 8 criminal laws in Canada against cannabis, and now there's 45, so that's legalization for you.
That sounds like our EPA.
Yeah, pretty much. They're probably stoned, too.
Yeah. We think they are, at least. They seem that way.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of drama and laws, healthcare, oh my gosh, I just can't say it enough. The Republicans cannot go through this midterm election without talking about it.
Yeah.
Because people are getting their letters. They're finding out stuff, just like me.
Right.
I explained a few weeks ago that my insurance coverage was going by the wayside.
Right.
Because they no longer want to write individual policies. They only want groups. Well, my broker said, they'll find somebody else, and give me a call. Well, they really haven't found anything. They want me to pay them $100 to go to the Obamacare site. I couldn't do that myself.
Right.
But it's very confusing, because most of us were under the understanding that the mandate had been taken away.
Okay.
It wasn't. Now, it appears to have been for employers. For example, under Obamacare, if you had 50 or more employees, you had to provide health insurance.
All right.
Now, that mandate, it looks like, has been eliminated.
Oh, okay.
Mostly because people were having to work part-time jobs, 2 or 3 part-time jobs, because companies didn't want to hire full-time employees. So the Trump administration got rid of that mandate. Now, when they said mandate, I think most people were like me. You weren't going to get fined if you didn't have insurance, or if your policy was not up to Obamacare standards.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Obamacare standards means if you're a man, you have to have maternity leave. Paternity insurance. No, just maternity. So that you can compensate for other people out there. Okay?
Oh, wow.
If you don't have addiction, you've got to pay for addiction.
Wow.
Insurance. You have to pay for mental health coverage. Okay? You have to pay for all these things whether you're going to use it or not.
Wow.
Well,
okay.
Most of us were under the understanding that mandate released us from that issue.
Right.
And that also we weren't going to get fined if we didn't have this Obamacare policy. Well, that really hasn't happened. They've talked a lot about it. So really, you can take out a policy right now that doesn't meet Obamacare standards, but you're going to get fined. Now, the fine is minimal. It's like $100.
Okay.
But
wow.
It has everybody playing this gray area. So you don't trust anybody. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
You talk to an agent or a broker, one of them understands this and will explain it to you and suggest that you get the coverage you need and pay the fine. Others will be like, oh my God, you can't do that. You've got to get the Obama coverage. Now we are talking, now let me tell you what price we're talking about. Between a policy that, for example, me, that doesn't have maternity because I don't want any more babies. That's not happening, okay? Between one that is appropriate for me and Obamacare, the Obamacare policy would be $1,600 a month with deductibles, okay? The one I would get where I'd have to pay the $97 fine would be just under $500 a month and no deductible.
Wow. Okay. Big difference.
Clearly, I'm going to pay the $100 fine.
Yeah, clearly.
So you think, well, that's just great. You got it all figured out. Oh, wait a minute. These companies will do this, but you got to pass the health assessment. And the health assessment is ridiculous.
I can imagine.
I got
the
denied.
whole thing's ridiculous. Yeah, wow.
Yes, I got denied. Do you know if you are a scuba diver, they will deny you.
Wow.
If you like to go to the little place and climb the rocks, they will deny you.
Unreal.
I got denied on the first thing I mentioned is I have a large thyroid. Denied. So then you got to go in another set of circumstances, a third set. Now, all of this comes to a head November 1st. The election is November 6th, okay?
Yeah.
If the Republicans don't talk about this between now and the 1st and promise to fix it after the election, the Democrats will win, despite Kavanaugh, despite the immigration issue, and despite the excitement, because Republicans will start turning on the Republicans.
Yeah, pretty much.
So it is a mess. A mess.
I really haven't seen anything other than our own podcast talking about this out in the media. Like zero.
However, when they take polls, it is the number one thing on people's minds now. And it wasn't 2 or 3 months ago.
Right.
But it is, according to the polls, it's the most important thing to the people right now. That's because they're getting the letters.
Right.
For example, you take a community like where I live, which is probably about 120,000 in the city proper. There's not a lot of industry here. Most people work for themselves. They have individual policies, okay? Most people that are middle class or above in an area like this, you basically have to work for yourself. Nobody's going to pay them money because there isn't any place to go.
Wow.
So they have individual policies. And these a lot of times are the people that give the money to the candidates. I mean, you are talking about, politically speaking, and not knocking anybody down, these are important people to piss off and make scared. But they're also people that can't afford to have a medical crisis.
Right.
I mean, a medical crisis, you can have a little bit of money and it can bankrupt you.
Yeah, absolutely. In a hurry.
So it's a mess, and things we kind of were led to believe when they were working on Obamacare, and, you know, John McCain gave his thumbs down.
Right.
We thought they got something done, but what went on in the House never ever made it through the Senate. John McCain was the holdout vote on all of it.
Huh.
So you're misinformed if you believe anything was done, basically.
Yeah, he really left a mess behind, didn't he?
Oh, yeah. And like I said before, you don't have the old system to fall back on. You know, that's been 8 years now.
Wow.
The system we had in place before Obama, you know, took over.
Right.
You can't just dissolve Obamacare and go, okay, we'll just go back to our old ways. Well, that's 8 years ago.
Yeah.
It's not there. And a lot of people go, let it implode on itself. Do you know how many people are going to die?
Yeah, I know. I was just thinking about that. I mean, how many emergencies are going to happen in the period where they're trying to figure something out?
Exactly. So they have to do something, and if they would just open it up to the open market to where it can also be sold over state lines, it would repair itself really quickly. It would get really competitive, and it would be okay. But you've got to allow it to happen. But you also have to have a couple things in place. These insurers must insure pre-existing health issues.
Right.
That's the one thing you got to keep out there, or they'll never do it. And the government will keep picking up the tab on the sick people. Or people will just die because they won't, people want insurance. They want to pay their own way, and they want insurance.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Unreal.
Yeah.
So 2 weeks ago, I went to the doctor. He said I should have a little surgical procedure. 1 week later, the surgeon called me to come fill out paperwork. So I did that. The next day, I had my surgery booked for mid-December. Cost?
Wow.
$0.
Well, and look, how long have I been waiting for my surgery to get scheduled?
Yeah.
6 months.
So something's
and
definitely
I'm still not
broken.
there. Yeah, I mean, it's very broken. You can't play both sides of a field, and that's what we're doing right now. We're trying to keep the open market, yet government control. I mean, quite frankly, we have to pick one or the other.
Yeah,
I want the open market, I mean, you just can't. It's kind of like being torn between two levers. The guy walks in the room and he says, "It's him or me."
Yeah, right.
And she says, "Hit the road, Jack." But you got to make a decision. Non-decision is
not working.
No, it's not.
Scaring people. And when people are scared, shit happens.
Yeah, and we got shit happening right now.
A long line of it, I hear.
We've got these Hondurans. It started out 15 Hondurans were walking to the United States. Okay?
Okay.
Well, now that 1,500 has grown to 4,000.
Wow.
They are right now at the Mexican border. The Mexican president has ordered police and patrol. He's going to set up camps on the border and, I don't know, try to send them back, keep them. I don't know what he's going to do with them. But he's going to slow this process down because he's working with Trump. Imagine that. A Mexican president working with a United States president.
Yeah, that's odd there.
That we could do a whole show on that.
No doubt.
Nevertheless, the point I want to is this is designed. By design, it was set up to where these people would hit the Mexican-United States border on Election Day, or maybe a couple days prior.
Right.
And that would send Trump to separating grown-ups from children, and, just overall they can create a lot of bad press, and then the Democrats would win.
Right.
And there's some kinks, but let's talk about first, how did 1,500 grow to 4,000? And it costs for each of these people $7,000 to get to the border. You got to pay the mules, you got to pay all these people, it costs money. It costs $7,000 a person. Now, if you got a kid, right there, it's $14,000.
Wow.
Okay? Now, the average person in Honduras makes $2,500. Now, they got to go, 3 years without eating, drinking, buying clothes, or paying for a place to live to save $7,000, right?
Yeah, that doesn't add up, does it?
It really doesn't add up. So how are they doing this? And, and all this perfect timing. Well, at the end of this appears to be Soros.
Of course.
We're not even surprised. But what Soros did not plan on was the Mexican president after the whole NAFTA deal.
Right.
Him and Trump are buddies. He's going to help his buddy out.
There you go. Yeah, I don't think he counted on that, did he?
It's blowing up in his face.
Good. Hope it costs him lots of money, too.
And people really don't like Democrats or Republicans. The voting public do not want people coming into the country unvetted.
Yeah, no doubt.
Okay, there are this group of politicians in Hollywood that seem to want open borders, but virtually no one else does.
Trudeau, that's exactly what he wants.
Trudeau, but he's an actor too, really. He really belongs in Hollywood, right?
Right.
As a drama coach or something.
Yeah, he's probably lousy at that too.
And I don't know, maybe he'll take the Hondurans. I mean, you guys are wealthy.
Yeah, right.
You know, he likes to, take all sorts of people.
Right. Well, I think he's on his way out. It's just not repairable for him at this point.
No.
So
no,
that's a whole other story, though.
And I mean, everybody's joking about him. Even Cory Booker, who I would thought would have been liking Trudeau, he was making jokes about Trudeau, like he's just, not realistic. And Cory Booker seems unlikely, but you guys did make the right call, I believe, when it came to the Saudi situation. We talked about that the other day.
Right.
Because Saudis, let's face it, as much money as they have, and they've got oil.
Yeah.
They don't treat women right.
And
really,
that's what our argument was with them, was to release the women's activists that they were holding prisoner that have now been executed, I guess. Yeah,
and that seems to be the whole Saudi royal family. I mean, none of them treat women well.
Right.
Okay? However, we have a little issue here. We have a big issue. The journalist that was killed. That situation is probably going to lead back to the Crown Prince. Okay?
Right. Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to argue that.
Yeah. Now, how are you going to handle this, though? Now, the king needs to basically punish the Crown Prince. But as far as the United States goes, Trump's up against a rock and a hard place, because you have to understand the royal family. The royal family is huge. They love to make babies. That's all they do over there. They don't watch movies. They don't listen to music. They make babies. So you've got all these princes and all these factions of the same family.
Right.
They don't all get together for Thanksgiving and, have sweet little Italian arguments.
Yeah, exactly.
For the most part, these guys don't trust each other.
Yeah.
So if you have one part of the family that has done something, how can you punish the whole country and the whole family? Yet they have to be punished for this guy's death and chopping him up.
Yeah, seriously. I'm not really sure what's going to happen, because I've seen the news reports go either way, that everything's all fine, and then no, it's not, and it's a mess.
Well, and they keep changing their family. Now, I mean, their story.
Right.
Now, and their family too, sort of. But for the first time ever, oil is not on the line, because when Trump, released the industry of a lot of, restrictions, we became the number one producer of oil in the world. Right. We surpassed Saudi Arabia. But in place of that oil, we have this arms deal. And it's a mess. I mean, it's crazy. They've got a little fall guy going down, one of the bodyguards of the prince. But then he ended up in a car wreck.
I'm sure he did.
Peculiar. I mean, it's just like, really? You expect us to believe that he was killed in a car wreck conveniently or serendipitously?
Right. Yeah.
These international car accidents, they happen a lot.
Well, I have one for you, another one, actually. Daphne Caruana Galizia. She's the one-woman WikiLeaks. She's the one that broke the story on the Panama Papers to the public, exposing all of the world leaders and politicians that were hiding money in offshore accounts.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, she got in a car in Malta and the car exploded. So, yeah, funny how those things kind of start happening.
Yeah. And that's the favorite way lately they take care of something internationally. It's like a mob hit, but,
Right.
you know, on an international basis.
It seems like a war on journalism.
I am so sad to hear that. There is a war on journalism, and there's been a lot of chatter about maybe the president should watch what he says about journalists. I don't think he caused this, though. Nobody in Saudi Arabia. This guy was writing about the Saudi family, and they decided to kill him. It had nothing to do with Trump.
Right.
But there are stations that are saying it did.
Right.
Crazy.
Yeah, of course there will be.
Well, a couple of days ago, Mueller said the day after the election, he would be giving an update or a report on the Russian collusion situation.
All right. Okay.
And there are people out there. I think there are people with Trump derangement syndrome that have waited 2 years for this report.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Every one of them with Trump derangement syndrome has been waiting eagerly to have Trump impeached and arrested, and they're just chomping at the bit.
Oh, yeah. And we don't say this in jest. This has really become a psychiatric issue for these people.
Yes.
According to Politico, their sources, and I mean they have a long line of sources, let's see, 15 former government officials and about 12 others that have a connection say that they're going to be disappointed.
Surprise, surprise.
Because it just hadn't panned out.
Yeah, well, you know.
The connection is not there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, nobody's actually been arrested or charged with anything to do with Russians, you know?
Yeah, I mean, and for the most part, this came also from some of the defense attorneys working on the Russian probe.
Exactly.
I did say defense attorneys.
Right.
Okay? It's just not there. It just isn't. And besides that, we may never see the report anyway.
Right. Yeah.
And then they say, well, you know, Mueller, like Kenneth Starr, should answer questions about it in front of Congress or somebody. Okay?
Right.
Well, they said he probably will, but this guy is a yes, no, maybe guy. He is not going to give anything away.
Huh.
I mean, because it just doesn't suit his personality. So what is going to happen when these people get the disappointment of their life? And I truly mean their life. They are talking about civil disobedience in a way we haven't seen in modern times.
Right. Yeah, and I know for a fact I'll be looking at 1,000 new memes on Facebook.
Well, let's hope that's all.
Yeah, I doubt that, though. I doubt that. I could see things amping up, for sure.
Yeah,
Tensions
it will
amping.
probably become violent.
Yeah. Well, it would be really violent if Mueller actually looked at the cause of all of this and started investigating that instead of running up an alley that shouldn't even have been there and shouldn't have existed from the beginning. You know? Yeah,
and I hate to mention it because, I mean, there are some people that just go so crazy, but, you know, QAnon, what I'm gathering from their theory, and I don't know whether QAnon's right or wrong, it seems like they're pretty right. Nobody wants them to be. They want to call them crazy conspiracy theories. However, they kind of think that Rosenstein might be playing the side of Trump and ready to bust those people. Meaning like the DNC, the Clintons, the people that brought this Russian collusion to the forefront of the DOJ and the FBI. I don't know either, but Hillary gave up her security clearance the other day, and there's been nothing said, nothing written about it.
Oh.
The mainstream media. In fact, it's been a hush-hush. Why would she have done that
Hillary,
while at the same time keeping her big trap shut.
yeah, there's no way Hillary would give up any power whatsoever. Something's
None.
up. Something's up.
Something's up. That had me thinking QAnon might be right. And when you think about Rod Rosenstein going on the plane with the president to Florida to chat, they may have this right.
Yeah, could be.
Tick tock, as Sean Hannity says.
Yeah, I'd probably be pretty nervous if I was her right now. And wow, that's really suspicious. That says a lot right there, I believe, because Hillary wouldn't ever give up anything of power, especially security clearance. Wow.
Exactly.
Okay, good news.
Yeah. Now, Cory Booker, I was sort of making fun of Trudeau the other day.
Easy to do. Very easy to do.
He said that the Canadians are more American than the Americans. Okay? Despite Trudeau. That's what he said. Now, and it had me thinking, first of all, we're not getting to smoke pot down here. But secondly, and most importantly, the freedom of speech.
Yeah.
We are the only country in the world that has unfettered freedom of speech constitutionally. Now,
I'm pretty sure you're right on that.
Okay. A lot of people believe that the UK and Canada has so, but in both of those countries, they have a clause of sorts that says you can't use hate speech, you can't incite violence with your words.
Yeah.
Now, in the United States, that's not really true. Now, we have sort of since Obama, under Obama, we started pretending like we do have those.
Right.
Okay? And I have to say for good reason, maybe. But for good reason can always be abused. So I say that carefully. I'm sort of walking that thin line.
Right.
Now, should Congress put a clause in our First Amendment about speech for violent, that incites violence or hate? And you might go, yes, oh yes, for sure. But the way our Constitution is written, they can't.
Oh.
So I'm just bringing this up so that our listeners and, of course, us, we can all sort of chew on that.
Wow. That very interesting stuff.
Yeah, and it's something we'll probably talk about again. But
Something.
I just wanted to throw that out there because constitutionally it says no law shall be created, I'm paraphrasing a little bit, that
changes the First Amendment.
Changes the First Amendment the way it's written.
Wow. That would have protected us from Trudeau then. Darn it. Oh, well,
but you all do have that right. You do. You cannot incite violence or hate in Canada, and the same is true for the UK.
And it is enforced.
I think the UK has a couple more restrictions. I'm certainly not I'm not an expert on UK or Canada.
Yeah, well,
freedom of speech, but I do know that, and when Cory Booker brought that up, it just got into my head.
Right.
The speech, we can't necessarily change it without giving up our Constitution. Believe me, I know there are people out there that want to give up our Constitution. I mean, you watch The View.
Yeah.
Those ladies would kick that son of a bitch right out the door. All those guys that wrote it, I mean, if they could bring them back to life, they'd bring them back and hang them.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, exactly. We can agree there.
Yep, but we don't always agree, but life's a journey, and we're all in this together. Thanks for listening. Have a great weekend. Godspeed, Connor, and Godspeed to all of our friends out there.
Godspeed, Grace, and thanks for listening.
Dueling Dialogues is brought to you by our affiliates at hostpapa.com. Click the banner on the rightleftchronicles.com for premium unlimited web hosting with the highest rated reviews at the lowest prices.